Righty ho. Looks like we're off then. Let's see now. Hello everybody. I hope you're all keeping well in these very volatile, uncertain, chaotic and ambiguous times. Very peculiar. One day up, the other day down. Now let me see. The art and science of There I Am. So that's, let me just share some of this. Share to your page, share to a group or two. There we are. Let's go for Solar G. Okay, post. And you've shared this post, that's always a good sign. Let's share it again to share to a group again. La la la. The light stream, that sounds like a good thing too. And let's do one more for good luck. Ah, Kuan Yin's already here. I'll bring her in a moment. And we'll do one more. Share to a group. Okay. Good God, I didn't realize I was in so many groups. Oh, can't find any more. That'll have to do for now. Okie dokie. Right. Nearly ready to go. Hang on, let me just try this. I've never done this one before. Okay. No. Right. I'll be with you in a moment. So. La 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 la. All right, darling. Daddy's just got to do some talking. I'll be with you soon. Let me see. Right. That's me talking to the wife. No, it wasn't. It was the cat. Pumpkin, do you want to go and say hello to everybody? Come on. No. Okay. Right, we're nearly at time. Okay. Helen, Rhoda, lovely to see you all. Okie dokie. Stephanie, I knew you were coming. Nice to see you. So, let's see if Kuan's here. Hello? Aha! There you are. Can you hear me? I think you're on mute. Let me see if I can unmute you. No.
Now you can hear me.
I can hear you very clearly. Can you hear me?
Yes, I do. I don't need to put my headset on.
No, not necessarily, unless you feel comfortable in it. I like mine. It's a bit more comfortable. It stops all the external noise coming in.
I can
see.
So
it looks like we're live on Facebook. Do you have any friends? It's good if you've got friends. Maybe you'd like to share them with some of your friends.
Well, I only have like 50 friends on Facebook, so.
Oh God, my heart's bleeding already. So, how are you?
How am I? Well, it's the last few days been really intense. Like I thought it was going to cool down a little bit, like, you know, in terms of having downloads or receiving codes or having these damn ascension symptoms, you know, lots of physical pains and aches, but it didn't went down, it just stayed up. Or at least, well, it was balancing a little bit more, but now it's going up again since, well, last night I think I've been hit with, I don't know, some kind of download that made me tired and lots of aches and pains, and I don't know.
I know exactly what you mean. You just can't work out, can you, from one moment to the next. Our conscious minds can't manage anything at all now. But that's the way I feel. And as for my memory, it just lasts a couple of seconds and then it's gone. You know, I have something in mind to do, and I think to myself, I'm going to focus on that now. And then 10 seconds later, I'm thinking, I wonder what I was thinking about then.
Yeah, you seem to keep forgetting stuff. You know, the short-term memory thing is like broken. I don't know, and it doesn't come back, and it doesn't get any better. You know, I can't even remember what I ate this morning, and it's only just afternoon. So
I used to think I had dementia creeping in, but now I know that it's true. It's like dementia, but it isn't, because
no,
I know that when I need to know something, it's almost presented to me. You know, so it's almost like I'm living beyond memory now. That memory is not important up to a certain point, just to live in the now, in the present moment. And I think
yep,
loads and loads and loads of people, they think they've got all sorts of underlying mental health problems coming through, when actually, as you just said, it's actually a symptom, ascension symptoms, and
yeah,
it's a very positive thing. Although
yeah.
it doesn't feel like that for most of the time.
Well, it most of the time it's like aches and pains and dizziness and nauseousness, you know, and all kinds of nasty symptoms that we don't like, but the symptoms are, well, the best symptoms you can have. So you really feel and know that you are transforming, you are going through this big shift that we're all talking about. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's just not nice to feel all these, you know, aches and pains. So
I could do with a few days off, really. You know, I did a swim. You know, I might have seen that I did a big swim on Saturday, and it's taken me quite a few days to get over that. Normally, a couple of days, and I'm fit. You know, but this is lasting and persisting, and I don't know whether it's because of the swim or because of the shift or because of the vibrational change. You know, there'll be a lot of people reading, watching today who don't really understand this great shift in consciousness. So, you know,
yeah,
the whole purpose of the I am connection, in my view, my feeling about it was to help people to maybe try in simple terms to understand what's going on, and maybe give them some practical tips or suggestions on how they can be help themselves through this process. So, Quan, just before we go any further, you're in Belgium. Is that your place of birth? Are you a natural Belgian person?
yep,
Are you a Flemish person or a Walloon person,
a
or
Flemish person.
okay?
Flemish.
Do you speak Walloon at all?
Well, I speak a little bit French, but it's not Walloon. It's just, you know, French, basic school French stuff.
Right, because we've spoken before, and I've never been to Belgium. I've been on the outskirts of Belgium, but it always seems like an isolated place to me. It's sort of surrounded, right, but separate, you know. And do you want to tell us? I mean, I've got no idea what we're going to talk about. I mean, we've got a theme, all right? Here's the theme: QHHT, right?
Yeah,
Whatever that is, you know.
yeah.
Um, Massage, craniosacral therapy, and this interesting thing called tantric massage. Hopefully, we can get to talk about that, because people seem to be interested in anything to do with tantric stuff. So maybe we'll go deeper into that and see what pops up, if you like. You know.
Sure, it's fine.
Okay. So tell us a bit about yourself then.
Oh, okay.
Can I just say before you start, there's been all sorts of people trying to get hold of you and interview you for quite some time,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah. I
And I,
feel like the silent type, you know. It's not that I am afraid of talking about what I know and what I want to share, but I'm not too keen on, you know, coming with my face on Facebook land and, you know, ta-da, here I am. I'm not like that. But anyway, a few people heard of me and you know, and talked about me and wanted to, you know, directly communicate with me and share their knowledge. And they said, well, we have platforms that people come on and, you know, do you want to, do you do lives? And I'm like, nope, not going to do any lives. And And then I said, well, you take your time, no pressure. And, you know, and then all of a sudden I've got in contact with your friend, Todd Medina. And he was like, wow, I'm definitely interested in doing a live with you. And I'm like, oh God. And then, you know, I talked to you a few times and then you popped the question twice. And I'm like, well, okay, then if you really insist, I will do a live. So here I am. And it's just, I don't want it to be about me. It's about what I want to share, you know, the knowledge that I have that could be, that people could help and assist them in their process in this difficult times. It doesn't have to be about me, and I don't want it to be about me. That's why I'm not showing my face everywhere around. So
I think the same. I love to show myself, you know, but I was a bit apprehensive about, you know, what will people think and all that. And now I don't care as well, you know.
yeah, well, I was like, well, who cares what I want to say or what I have to say, because there's so many people in Facebook land that talk the same stuff, have the same knowledge, and I'm like, who cares? Another person that's going to come talk about sacred divine unionship and whatever that I want to talk about. But at the end of the day, I'm like, well, you know, maybe one person will listen to me and you know, is really assisted with what I want to offer or what my story is about. So just give it a go and see how it goes.
Smashing. I mean, I don't know. I'm like you. I just open up and then let's see what comes out next, really, you know, because my days of planning and, you know, trying to control and manipulate conversations, that's all gone. That's the old Joe, because I thought that was the way it was supposed to happen, that you were supposed to be able to use all sorts of techniques to coax people into, you know, but now it's just, I think if we open up, or this is the way I do it, I open up and it's more of a surprise what comes out of my mouth to me than anybody else, you know. So should we start about, you know, what's your feeling, or have you got any sort of simple way to explain this great shift in consciousness that everybody's talking about and experiencing?
Well, I don't have really an exact explanation about that. The only thing I can speak about is my own experiencing about in this shift or in this ascension symptoms. And what I do feel is that your awareness is growing bigger. It's like you're becoming more sensitive globally, physically, mentally, emotionally, even when people are not aware or conscious, you know, like we say, those people, just the common people, the Joe and the, you know, and the Tom and the George that goes to work and every day, even them, those people can feel that something is changing in their body, whether is it physical, mentally, or emotionally. They do feel something, you know. Not everybody is into the things that we are into, the spiritual stuff and, you know, the angels and whatever, but I can sense that everyone is sensing some kind of shift in their body. And the thing I always tell people is try to be just the observer, not to go into the physical pains and the aches and the worrying, you know, and the doubts. Just be the observer about everything. Try to observe what you feel and stay calm with it, and just relax in what you feel and what you experience. And but because lots of people have, you know, fear about what they feel and what they hear and what they see, and if you just be the observer about it and relax in what you experience, then I think it's a big thing, you know, that you can do in this, in experiencing this shift that we're in.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that nobody's going to get away with anything. You know, that sounds like a sort of a fearful thing to say. But when I got the sort of push in 2011, as I've spoken to you about this, I woke up in the middle of the night. I think it was 3:33 in the morning, just to give a bit of poetic license to that, you know. And I got this big flow of thought to say, you need to find out about this global shift in consciousness and start telling people about it. Now, up to that point, I'd never heard of the Great Shift. You know, although I've been practicing spiritual techniques for a long time, I'd never really heard about this Great Shift. And so from then on, right, I found out more and more about it. Or it was almost like the information kept popping up, and I got more and more information within me sort of emerging, almost as if I knew what it was all about, but it was deeply buried in me. But all sorts of information was coming up within me now and through me and stuff. And so within 3 to 4 months, I was actually going around on tour, giving talks on this great shift in consciousness, you know. And the ego part of me saying, oh my God, what's all this about? And yet, when I gave the talks, people seemed to intuitively know what I was going on about, you know. So my big thing is that I see that the human being, it's almost like at the start of the human being's growth, we live on instinct, and then we develop intellect. And there's a point where our intellect no longer works anymore. We can't think our way out of a paper bag anymore, you know. And people are going into all sorts of desperation because as the world's changing, they can't think of solutions. And I got to a point, Quan, as you know, that I got to a point of such amount of stress and anxiety and depression that I tried to do myself in because I couldn't handle it anymore. It would be so bad that I'd actually run and bang my head on the wall just to try and create some space to get some air to circulate so I could think a bit more, but it didn't work, you know. And I fell into the same, you know, the old trap of drinks and drugs and stuff like that, only to try and get some escape from all this information that was coming in. And yeah, I met a bunch of people who showed me some very simple techniques to create space by coming out of my head and going back into my heart, you know. And anything, you know, the person I was then, as you know, I was a biomedical scientist, very science-based, left-brained, very linear. Any talk of going into the heart and expanding and giving out more love, I thought, what the bloody hell are they talking about, you know? Anyway, one person said to me, and I like this bloke because he was dead straight and dead honest. He said, look, the last time you tried it, how did it work for you? I said, well, I've never tried it. He said, well, do us a favor. Don't knock it till you've tried it. And he showed me the technique. Put your hands on your hearts, breathe in about 6 breaths per minute. And I started then to sink into a sort of deeper, more relaxed, more comfortable feeling. And then things started to change. And I sort of see that my purpose, if you like, or my soul's purpose, is just to share with other people the journey I've been on, where I'm up to now, and my hope for the future. How does that sound?
Sounds great. That sounds like what I'm trying to do. You know, I'm trying to, whenever people ask for assistance or help or whatever they need, they have to ask. I'm not just offering, you know. If people come to me, I will assist them in every way I can. If it is like teaching them some kind of techniques to breathe properly, or to do some meditation, or to bring them in a deeper level of meditation, like alpha rhythm and stuff like that, I can do all that. I try to do it online, but sometimes people like to, you know, at my house, and then we do some meditation. Sometimes they come to me with different kinds of issues and problems. Then I just treat them here in my little practice that I have, and I do some kind of craniosacral energy work on them, or, you know, my quantum touch that as I talk about it. And it's just different, and it's very typical, you know. Everyone needs a different kind of tool or assistance, and I try to tune in. If people come to me and ask for assistance, I try to tune in and give them, you know, as best as I can, that is suited for them, you know. Not everyone likes meditation. Not everyone likes to sit still for 1 hour and go inside. Some people, it's just too much, you know, and then you have to take it one step at a time, and then just lay them down on my table and just do a few things, and they don't actually know what I'm doing, but they, you know, they feel calm and relaxed, and all of a sudden they have emotions coming up, you know. And I don't talk a lot. I just say, let it out, it's okay, nobody sees you here, just you and me. And then they'll let go, you know. And some people need a more advanced work, like, you know, really people who are more aware or more in their consciousness about who they are, what they are, their previous lives and stuff like that. Some of them need the more advanced assistance. And then I call in, you know, or blue alien, green friends, and all the other alien beings that wants to come in the environment or the platform that we create between me and the patient and or the client. And then, the show goes on, everyone comes in and then we talk, have a chat, and that's the more advanced work. But like I said, you have to be really um, pure about tuning into who is in front of you. I can't just come to someone who's not ready with this alien story or the alien healing stuff that I know. That would be too much. I just want to be, clear about what I bring in and that it's fitted and just right for the person who's in front of me.
No, I agree. I work in the same sort of way. It's I just open my heart again, and I say to
Yeah,
my heart, please show me where this person's up to,
yeah,
because through consultation you can get some idea, but at a different level, it's the soul really that's
yeah,
obstructed. I see that the soul in itself knows exactly what to do, but it's
yeah,
blocked by all sorts of obstructions that need to come.
yeah.
And
Lots of
mostly the obstructions are unconscious. They're below the level of the person's consciousness. So they may have ideas of what's actually causing their problems, but they probably couldn't be further from the truth. And this is the thing. When I'm working with my intuition, which is all the time, really, I just go in now with an attitude of I don't know. Please, my soul, please show me where this soul needs some help here. So it's not really me that's doing it. It's some higher part of me or some deeper part of me. And I'm not even bothered what it is now, except that I just work with a feeling now, not a thought. Because when I first started this and started to learn, somebody would come in with a pain in their back. And I would say things like, please send energy to their back now so that this person can be healed. And as I got further along, I met people who were more advanced in their understanding. And they said, no, don't ask for any specific part of the body, because it might actually be their left leg that needs sorting before they get the. I know that you know what I'm talking about. So I agree with you. It works on an individual, deeply felt sense. That's my understanding of it.
yeah.
You know, when you say sometimes people relax and then all sorts of emotions come up. Do you want to sort of expand on that a bit?
Yeah, sometimes people have like no idea that they're blocked on an emotional level. They think, oh, I have a sore neck or sore lower back, and I want to come to you and you are going to fix everything. But beneath the physical pain, there are lots of, emotional layers that are being stuck in the body for, decades. But most of the people don't have any knowledge about that. So I say, okay, come in, we'll see what we can do. And then they lay down and I try, like the first 5 or 10 minutes, I just help relax the physical body. And then all of a sudden they just can't stop the emotions. And then I'm like, well, I already knew before I started the session that it wasn't any physical blockage. It was just connected to an emotional blockage that was there quite some time and that the patient or the client didn't know about. And if I feel that the patients are up for it, I can, say a word, like, what do you feel? Is it sadness? Is it, why do you cry? Or when they laugh, or when they start to burp, like the digestion starts to work, or when they're all of a sudden sweating their ass off, and they don't understand that. And I'm like, well, where does it come from? And they, what most of the people, they go into their heads and then the mind starts to talk, and then I'm no, don't go in the head, just go lower, go to the heart, or place your hands on your belly and feel, where does the emotion come from? Well, and if they're really up for it, if they really want to work on themselves, then you can see the shift and they open up and the body relax and they cry or they laugh or whatever emotion that comes up. And then they are really surprised that, well, I thought you just had a sore neck or, something in the lower back. And I'm like, no. This type of thing goes deeper. And if you're really honest to yourself and if you really want to do the inner work, then you will open up, and then the energy will allow to come out, or come in, and then the emotion will come up and show itself, and then it will leave the body, disconnect from the body. And if people are not up for that, that's fine too. I just leave it at that, I don't force them. I don't just judge them like you didn't let go. No, I just don't say anything. And when they come out of the session, I just, ask them, did you feel the emotion? And they're like, yes, but they don't go into it because they're not ready for it. And that's fine too.
So there are certain, do you give anybody, once you've treated them, do you give anybody, if they're up for it, do you give them any specific practical tips
Oh, yeah,
on, yeah. So
a
I
bunch.
give, yeah, well, I do. I say to my patients or clients or the people that I'm working with, I give them homework to do, and, because my feeling is that they need to participate in their own recovery, and my big thing is about healing is the healer doesn't heal. All the healer does is helps you to reconnect with your own source of healing, so
Yep.
people misunderstand that, because sometimes people come back and say, will you heal so and so, will you do this? And I'm saying, no, the only thing I can do is turn their heads around, get them to look deep within and start to allow themselves to heal from inside to out themselves, so it's really, I put back the responsibility back to the patient themselves,
Yeah,
and
that's what I do. That's what I always say. Some people think, oh, we're just going to lay 1 hour and relax, and she will do all the work. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to, trigger the points that needs to be triggered to open up your system, or to just open up what needs to be open at this time, at this moment, and let it go. And then there's some people are really surprised. They're like, well, I thought you were going to help me, that you are going to fix me or let go of the pain. And I'm like, well, I never said I was going to do anything. Sometimes I do a lot. Some of my sessions are very physical, like I use pressure on the physical body, or I have some kind of tools that I work with, wooden tools that I can use to be more specific on the trigger points or where the pain is. And then I need to do a lot of physical pushing on the body, but not all the sessions. Some sessions I just sit there, do nothing, or just, touch the body, no pressure, no pulling. And then everything is like more on an energetic level. But some sessions are more physical, and I don't know in advance when someone comes what I'm going to do. I just open up. I open the field. I let everyone in that wants to join the session, and then we'll see how it goes. That's the way I work.
same, we work in exactly the same way, really, just through intuitive guidance,
Yeah.
and that I've spent many years in integrative health and medicine, and I've like you, I've learned a lot of physical techniques, exercise, so I'm sort of qualified right across the board, really, and sometimes even big people can come in, corpulent people, they can come in, and on the one hand, where you might feel you need to do a deep pressure with them, sometimes gentle stroking, right, works, doesn't it? It works, it does the trick, it opens them up and gets right through to the source of obstruction. In complementary and alternative medicine, all pain is obstruction of the vital flow of healing energy, and so in biomedical models, they would treat the pain maybe, and I'm not knocking biomedicine because it's got some fantastic things going, but I think medication at the right time, in the right amount for the right condition is fantastic,
Yeah.
but I think my job is I work in a complementary way with orthodox medicine to try and find a whole package that's suitable for that person. Now, most of my medical colleagues, I've got no idea. In fact, they need treating themselves, with regard to emotional suppression and repression and compression and contraction and everything else, But I can sense where they're blocked. And so I try and give them a few clues that maybe the muscular inflexibility is more to do with professionalism and, you know, pretending to be professional at the head level, but suppressing all the truth at the emotional level.
Yep.
So do you work in the same way?
Yeah, same. Sometimes, you know, people come to me with, let's say they have a lot of stress, you know, and they don't really actually know where it comes from. And then, you know, I just scan their body before they even go lay down on the table. I just have a 5-minute conversation with them. And then I scan, and then, you know, if you see the left side and the right side of the body, you can really see if they're hanging like this or hanging like that. And, you know, and I have my rules that I follow. You know, if something's wrong on the left side or on the right side, I already know it's mom issue, it's dad issue, it's feminine, it's masculine. So that gives me an indication where to work on if they go lay down on the table. And then when they lay down, I'm start, you know, pushing and pulling the trigger points and the stress points. And then all of a sudden I'm asking, like, how's your relationship with your mom, you know, or how's the relationship with dad? And they're like, well, why do you want to know, you know? So they don't make any kind of connection with the questions I ask. And I say, just don't worry about the questions I'm asking, just answer. And then while they're answering, I can feel why I'm pushing the body on the trigger points, you know, the opening up of the energy of the meridians. And, you know, body is really reacting when you're asking questions, when you're touching the body. And well, it's different with everyone, you know, but most of them, the body reacts really fast when you touch the body, you ask questions, you know, the energy goes in and out and up and down, and you see how it reacts. And most of the time it's just tuning in, and when I'm not doing anything, just sitting there and just touching the body with one finger, then I know it's out of my hands. I just have to be there, you know, hold space for the body, hold space for the person, and then just let the other beings that are in the room just do the job, you know. So I know when to step back and when to do my thing.
Yeah, same. You know we work in the same sort of way, and I'm always trying to tune in more and refine these things because, again, to be honest, I've got no idea what's going on most of the time, you know, and I have to rely on my soul to guide me through the process.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's become better to not know rather than have any idea, because I think once my head gets in and I start to try and intellectualize, it actually obstructs the whole process anyway.
Yep.
So I suppose surrendering the ego to this flow is probably the way forward, you know. But I think it's coming through as we get this great shift in consciousness, and if you like, this planetary realignment, you know, more and more forces, or if you like, flows are coming through, which are impacted upon Mother Earth, which are impacted upon all humans on the planet. Now, yoga, and I love yoga. In fact, I'm going to a yoga session tonight. Yoga, the philosophy of yoga, has known this for about 5,000 years, you know, and they have, you know, yoga is a science, really. To me, it's the art and science of understanding all the influential forces that impact upon the mind or the consciousness of the individual. And any obstruction from an ego point of view, as we've already said, will just cause pain and disturbance, you know. So more and more people are becoming disturbed. And I see that before serenity and peace of mind must come emotional turmoil. It must come. So to try and get the message across that if you're going through real emotional disturbance, it's a very positive sign. If you understand that there are some very, very simple tools that you can use in order to open the heart and allow some balance to come in. So let's talk about breathing, shall we? That seems to be the next thing that comes up. I've learned that the way that we breathe is intricately influenced by the way that our mind processes information. Okay, so how can you tell when fight or flight's in? How can we tell when we're in a state of fear?
Well, the breathing goes faster most of the time, and sometimes the rhythm of the breathing gets disturbed because, you need to regulate, the in and out flow of the air. So, and sometimes when you are in freeze or fight or flight or nervous or whatever, you just notice that the in and out flow of the air through the nose is being disturbed, and that's sometimes that your breathing is just going up faster. It's never going to go slower when you're in the fight or flight mode. That's what I'm experiencing.
So there was an old one, wasn't there, when anybody was angry or feeling stressed, breathe deeply.
Yeah.
And I can see now, that to me, what that does is, if we get into a certain way of breathing, it can emotionally disengage us from the threat.
Yeah.
Unless it's a threat to real life and danger.
Mm.
But most of the time, what I found was my problem was that my mind processed information in a way that was always threatening to me. The world and its people were always a threat to me. Little Joe, the inner child who was always frightened. And what I've learned is through breathing, and I've still got a long way to go, Quan. When I was learning the breathing, I was learning that rather than say yes to everybody and become a people pleaser, I started to be able to say no to people. This became really, really difficult for me in the beginning because one of the people I had to start saying no to was my mother. Because every time my mother rang up, right, and said, "You're good at this, son. I need it doing. Will you help me? Right? Will you come along and do it?" I used to put the phone down, tell the wife, "My mum needs some help. I'm just going to go and help her." It would cause all sorts of relationship problems with the wife and kids because every time the phone rang, I'd be off. So to talk about and try and connect in a very clumsy way about the relationship thing and the illness and the emotional, my relationship with my mum has always been one of deep, deep love and deep, deep hate at the same time, and I'm being honest now, and it took me a long time because I would go and see people like yourself and they would suggest that I wasn't being honest about my feelings, about the relationship that I had with my poor mum. And I've just been with my mum this morning, she's knocking about still, and, she still tries to tell me what to do, but I don't take any notice of it anymore, Now, she's 89 years of age and I'm 65, but that relationship, right? And I'm talking about my side of it now, not my poor mum, because she didn't do it to me. It's what I allowed that caused most of my problems. And that's what I understand is through breathing, I used to get a thought of, oh my God, I'm going to have to say to my mum. I would feel my chest contract. I'd feel my gut grip. And I'd think, oh God, what am I going to say? And the answer was, no, I'm sorry, mum. I'm busy doing other things at the moment. And it took me years and years and years of education to get through that. I don't know why I'm talking about this. It may be relevant to some people who are listening. But, mums and daughters, mums and sons, dads and daughters, dads and sons, those deep down first relationships can have such an impact upon our adult choices in life. Do you agree?
Oh, sure, I agree. I recognize your story, like saying no to mom and dad. It's also a program. We are brought up with the program to always please mom and dad and do as mom as dad say. And as a kid, you are being loyal to your mom and dad, and it's very hard to say no to mom and dad. But at some point of age, when you're all grown up, it's okay to say no. But if you're used to it, or your upbringing was like that, or you needed to be the people pleaser or the mom and dad pleaser, it's really odd to say no to mom and dad, especially when they are in need of your assistance. Not everyone's moms and dad had a great life, a happy married great life. Mine sure didn't had that. So, they just sometimes needed help from the children, from me and my sister. And, when you see your mom and your dad not in a really good place, you like to help them. That's what I did. And I did it for a long time, you know, many years. I'm 44 now. So I think I did it about, like I said, about my 40. When I was 40, I thought, well, something ain't right anymore. This doesn't feel right, you know. And then all of a sudden, I had a pretty busy life and I had stuff to do. And so at some point there was something to do, like, you know, big party with in the family, and you know, I had stuff to do, personal stuff for myself, and I said no to the family party, and boy, shit hit the fan, you know. Really, it did. And they were mad and they didn't understand. And why don't you want to come? And blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, it's not about that I don't want to come to the party. It's I have a life of my own. I'm a grown up woman. I have, you know, stuff to do. And it was really important, the thing that I had to do. I wouldn't just say no just because, you know, I had to make a point. It was just something I really wanted to do for myself. And from that moment on, there were, especially mom, you know, was hit by my no answer. And from that point on, they changed. They just changed. I can't really say what it's that changed, but they just changed towards me, you know, and they didn't ask so much, and they didn't, you know, the whole relationship, you know, towards each other just changed. And it's okay, it's not negative, but I think they've got it now that I'm a grown woman and then I have a life of myself. Sometimes, you know, she just talks about that particular situation of me saying no for the first time. And I'm like, you know, I saw the programming that was going on within myself of me always saying yes, you know, and please and being loyal to mom and dad. And but I saw their program too, you know. I saw mom's program and dad's program of being used to me saying always yes to them, you know. So it came from both sides, and now it's more at ease, it's more in balance.
And I think personally that's what ascension is. Simply, it's called growing up, really. I think there are a lot of people, right, even throughout their whole life, have found it impossible to say no to those closest to them, and that's that was a big realization to me, and I understand what you mean by programming and social conditioning, because my feeling is that from a very early age, even almost from birth, that we're programmed into being something that we're not rather than something that we are. And it was 38 years of age that I stood up to my mother and father for the first time. My mum was never going to let go of the apron strings. I had to cut those myself. And I can't tell you an energetic expansion that I got from that one when I really meant it. Because before, I tried to make attempts by saying, oh, okay then. But then something turned in me. It was almost like something in me said, right, put your best foot forward here now and say what you mean and mean what you say. And I said it, and I remember I said it in a forceful way. My dad jumped up and said, don't talk to your mother like that. And I said to him, you sit down now, and for the first time in your life, listen to what I've got to say, right? And it just came out, as though there was another part of me speaking this thing. And I can say to you, Quan, that when I left their place, I opened the door and it was almost like the whole of the universe engulfed me. And I think that that's what we're talking about on programs like this. It's about the energy. It's about taking the actions that realign us with our essential core selves, or our soul selves, if you like. And then it's almost to re-empower us where we've given our power away all of our life, because we've been conned from the very beginning. And I think people are realizing this now. It's a time now to reflect deeply on what's really, really important to the soul of the individual, and not what everybody else thinks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And because of the shift that we're in, you know, consciousness is rising so fast, and we're about to see or able to see our own program. If you're aware enough of yourself and who you are and how you act, you can see your program. You can see that. You can see their program, but don't mind them, focus on you and try to see where you're still having some programming going on and try to deprogram yourself. You can do it by yourself. It's not that hard. It's just be the observer. Just be aware of when the program starts in whatever situation you're in whatever conversation you're in. And if you see that the program is coming up, just be aware of it. Be the observer and say, okay, I've got it now. I see it. I see the programming. And then you step out of it. Each time when the program comes up, you just be the observer and, step out of it. And, at one point you will be in the same situation, and then you will feel, well, all of the sudden you won't feel the programming so much. It's because you detached from it, but it takes a while. It doesn't happen overnight. Some programs are in our body for decades, are deep embedded it on a cellular level. So it takes time. And other programming you can do like in 1 week or 1 month, detached from the body. It depends how, certain and determined you are in deprogramming yourself. And therefore you need some kind of level of awareness or consciousness, if you will. Not everyone is have the ability to deprogram themselves because they don't have the frequency of consciousness or awareness. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And I think programs like this and Solargy, and the Freedom Network, I think people are attracted to this because that's where they are in the, if you like, evolution. I mean, at one level, there's no such thing as ascension and descension and evolution. But at another human level, it's about seeing the filters, isn't it? The perceptual blocks and distortions that have stopped our soul to come shining through.
Yeah.
And I see that more and more people are becoming attracted to these sorts of conversations. And I really do believe that where two or more are gathered for the purposes of expression at the soul's level, I think that there are these universal forces that come in. Once you've decided, right, in fact, I've got a big thing going up my spine now talking about it. So that means the mob is here, right? So they say, whoa, God, hang on a sec. Whoa, so that's great, that. So when two or more are gathered, or a group, when you've really made your mind up that you've had enough of fear, then once you can call on these, or they're not really extraterrestrial forces because they're part of us at a deeper, higher level. It's hard to explain this, but they're different aspects of ourselves that are now getting together to re-empower us to go forward for the benefit of ourselves. I feel like the Pope now, and nominee parties, if there's a blessing. What I'm trying to say in simple terms is, as we all get together and allow our souls to come through, embody our soul's purpose, and then work through us, I think that we benefit from a health point of view, but everybody else benefits as well from our realignment with source. So in a way, it can seem very selfish to be working on yourself, but in actual fact, it's self-care and not selfishness.
Yeah, that's very true. I always tell people, how can you be of any assistance to someone else if you still need assistance for yourself? There's nothing wrong with that. But if you really fully want to be 100% there for the other people, for the collective, to be in service, you first have to clean up your own shit. There's no other way to put it. And sometimes it's harder to look at your own stuff that's still going on. It's much harder than to take a look at the other one, at the other person. So that's why I've been working so long on myself, do the inner work, go inside, many years, to be as empty as I can, to make sure that my backpack is as empty as it can be, so I can be there for the collective and can be in service to the others as clear and pure as I can, because if you're still full of layers of whatever, emotion and things that are stuck on a physical level, mental, emotional level, then you can't be really fully there, fully present there for the other. And I've had many experiences in that, and that's why I've waited a long time to to share what I know, to share my experience, to be really sure that what I speak about is what I really truly feel, without boycotting myself, or still being stuck in some kind of level. And I'm not perfect, far from, I still have a lot of programming going on, but I'm confronted with it. I see it, I accept it, and I try to work at it as best as I can, by being the observer. And if the way I see it, I'm an example for myself, and I am an example for the ones around me. And people don't have to believe what I say. They don't have to take anything for granted what I say. But if they listen to it and they resonate with it and they experience it and they practice with what I'm telling them and it works, well, good, And if it doesn't, it's fine too. But I just want to be as pure as I can and as empty, my backpack, as empty as it can be.
I'm the same, to me, it was about getting real,
Yeah.
getting raw authentic, I call it, we use that word, raw authentic, it's living life in the raw. It's using your own innate natural abilities that we were born with, that were conditioned away from us, right? It's allowing those to come back online. I mean, I
Yeah.
wouldn't, believe it or not, I wouldn't say boo to a goose. I was afraid to speak up for myself, right? I would always run around, as I say, people pleasing, doing favors for other people and stuff like that, And I'm not like that at all now. In fact, people don't ask me to do them favors anymore, because they know they're going to get no, do it yourself, because
Yeah.
other people use me, not because they did it wittingly. It's because I allowed them to use me, because I had no self-worth whatsoever. And my big view is you can't cognitively think your way into self-worth. You've got to take actions to go over the fence, because you can't go around the fence, because you'll be put right back to the other side to say, now do it again, jump it, So again, it's growing, isn't it? It's really growing. On the subject of, and this time is going so quickly because there's so much I wanted to talk to you about, but let's it feels right to me now. And I slobber, when I get excited, I'm like a rabid dog, I get all slobbery and frothy when I'm talking. And I don't care about that anymore, because
It's
it's
all
just,
fine.
yeah. So we mentioned the help from invisible forces. And you've mentioned, that we haven't talked about light language yet. Do you want to talk about light language, or do you want to talk in light language, or whatever you feel?
Sure. Yeah. Well, the light language came to me about 2 years ago. And I saw a little live on Todd Medina's show with someone from Portugal. I think Yukia is her name. And she said, well, if you're going to listen to this live, be sure that you will be activated. And I was like, yeah, right, And I was just watching the show like I watch so many shows, and it really activated me. I was doing, some work in the kitchen, and all of a sudden something hit my throat, and I had to, grab the kitchen, and so that I wouldn't fall down. And I sat down. I had to, crawl to the couch and sit down. And I sat down for 2 hours, and I did light language. Stuff came just out of my mouth. I didn't know what I was saying or what I was doing. I was chanting, toning, and just pure light language. And yeah, well, the weeks and months after that, I just, whenever I felt it coming, and it came a lot, like 1,000 times a day, I just had to, okay, something's coming in, and you just sit down and just let it out. Don't be afraid of it, because it was very intense in the beginning. And I texted Yukia, and I said, listen, I'm being activated while I was listening to a talk of yours. And it's really intense. And she said, don't worry, don't be afraid, just let it in and let it out. And I did. And during the months it evolved in a more specific kind of language, if you will. I don't know where it comes from. I don't get any image of, you know, the planet or the dimension that it comes from or the beings, none of that. It just sounds always the same. And the toning sometimes is different, you know. It's just who's in front of me, and then I tune in, and then sometimes the toning comes in or whatever. But the language per se is always some kind of the same typical thing. And the last year it developed in um, getting a sense of what it's all about. You know, sometimes a person asks me, do you want to give me some light language? I'm having some trouble with this or that. And then I tune in, and then I can say, okay, I'm feeling your throat. I'm feeling your third eye. It's about the connection, or I can say that it's about that. But sometimes I don't get anything, and I just sit down and do light language. So sometimes I know what it's about, but it's not always like that. So I just have to take it as it comes.
You know, the way we work is so similar. You know, it's amazing. And what's been developing in me for quite some time now are deeper sounds. You know, and apparently they're associated with the dragon clan. You know, and you know, I've done this with you, and it comes really, and it's going deeper and deeper, and I can feel really it plunges from the base of my heart right through my sacral chakra, through my root chakra, and it grounds itself deep into Mother Earth. And by the way, I understand today, and maybe this is, hopefully you'll come on again in the future, we can talk about other things, because today is the feast day of Mary Magdalene, apparently, you know, and that means such a lot to me. And maybe we can talk about that at another time. But we've got about 8 minutes to go. Would you like to deliver some light language for the audience? And do you feel like that? Or, yeah, okay. So I'll shut up now, which is difficult for me to do, but I'll shut up.
That's fine. Okay, just make sure that everyone can sit with their back straight and feet on the ground. It's always nice. And take a deep breath in. By breathing in, you just open up your own channel so that you can receive more. And like you said, today is a special day, so maybe we can tune into this energy of today and see what wants to come out of my mouth. Mahau tamnara sahau sai tamnarai takai moi tamnarai satamnakau tau I tamnara sau panaria sai moi tamnara sai kai tam sau tamnarai tamnasai sui tamnara uta sia kamnaraita maui sai tu tamnara sajamnamai suai tamnara kau I tamnara sai Mua tam narai takau siu tam narai sai muai tam naraui tam nasaui maui tam naraui sau tam narai mau kam narau tam narai tam nasau maui tam narai kam nara tam nasau iu tam narai tam nasaui sau tam naraui tam naraui Maui tam naraui sau tam nakaui iu tam narai tam nakuala rayam nasau Maui tam nasaui saui tam naraui iu tam naraui Maui tam naramaui sau tam narawa tau kam nahi Yam narau kam nataui tam narau tam nasaui tiu tam naraui mau sau tam narau Tau kam narau tau tam narau sau tau I. Take a deep breath in. Pa tam narau I, sai tam narau I, tam namau I, tau I. Sa tam narau I, sau tam narau I, mau I, sam narau I, kam narau I. Take a deep breath in. Tam nasoi, tam narakau tai sai tuisa. Mau tam narau tai tam nasahau, kiu tam naraita, Tiu sau tam naraita, maui tam nasau, tauriya, saui tam narai kam narasai, mahau tiatarayam nasajai, sau tam narayatam nasai, sau jam naratam nasai. You can put your left hand on your heart and your right hand on top of it. And just feel your heart. Siu siu rayam nasaha, mau tia tam naraisa, tiu kam naraita sa, mau sai tam narauta sai, siu larayam nasahau, niu tam narasa jam nai, maisa tau tam naraisa jam nahau, siu tam naraisai. And breathe in and let it all out. I think that's it for today, Dr. Joe.
Oh, that was really lovely, really lovely. I'm so glad that you've decided to come on. I've got a feeling that you're going to get all sorts of invitations now from across the planet.
Well, maybe.
Yeah. So now, before you go, so if anybody resonates with what's been said today, and how would they get in touch with you? What's the best way to contact you?
Just through Facebook Messenger. That's the best way.
Okay. And is it just Kuan Yin?
Yep.
Okay. And they'll be able to private message you on Messenger.
Yep. That's the best way.
That's lovely. Well, hopefully we can do this regularly if you're up for it.
I think we can do that. We can arrange that, because I can feel lots of energy, just waiting on the door. We want to talk. We want to say something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, time's up.
Me too, because I'm getting all that. There's a lot more to come. Don't worry now. So thank you. And just before we go, in the last minute, I realize now that I used to think that most of my work needed to be done with physical touch. And I can see now, I couldn't get my head around how it could happen online and stuff. But obviously it's energy waves, it's resonance, it's energy, it's frequency, it's vibration. It's all that Tesla stuff. So there's no doubt about it that as we were doing that then, I could feel my heart expanding more. I got really, really hot. All sorts of colors started to change in my head, So Kuan, thanks very much indeed. And hopefully see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.